So hi guys, welcome. I'm now going to be talking about another problem I get asked a lot about, and that's dogs not coming back to the owners. Now this could happen in many different ways. It could be triggered by their instinct scenting a scent on the ground. It could be triggered by another dog going into that playful mode or even aggressive mode, and it takes off from the owner and they can't get it to come back to them. So I'm going to show you a couple techniques I use. Now I've got a dog, I haven't had it very long. It was a pet dog, and basically what we're going to do with this one, we're going to trigger it, because I've just started introducing it to the ducks so I can try training it as a farm dog, but it doesn't like coming off the ducks. It doesn't want to come back to me when I'm asked it. So I'm going to show you the technique I use to get the dog back to me, because you can't, if you keep going back to the dog and stopping it and catching it and dragging you or bribing it, that's the way it's going to carry on. So I want it to come back to me on its own accord for respect of the pack leader asking it. So that's what I'm going to try and demonstrate on this beautiful summer's day here in England. We're at the Great Yorkshire Show. I've just been doing it in front of thousands of children today about dog behaviour. So I've got a little bit of gap here, and we're going to use this little arena. Now, when you're training the dogs to do coming back when they're ignoring the owner or they're being triggered and taking off, we have to make sure we set up the scenario right. Okay, training your dog in a big open paddock, you lose all your power. Okay, the dog's triggered by something, another dog wants to go and play, takes off, you're calling your lungs out, and it doesn't even look back at you. So, a bit like horse whispering, really. We can't train a horse in a 10-acre paddock. We bring it to a small round pen, and we're able to use the technique pressure on, pressure off. So what I've got here is a perfect little arena. I'm going to trigger the dog, the lovely little pet dog I've got, on the ducks, and then I'm going to try and bring it back to me. Okay, that's what we're going to do now. I'm going to try and trigger the instinct. Okay, and then I'm going to try and ask it to come back. Now, I never ask the dog to come back more than twice. Once it does twice, then you're desensitizing the command. So I will be doing some physical kind of pressure on, and then I want to be able to turn my body language away from the dog, and I want the dog to come back to me on its own accord. The reason I use this little arena is because I've got the power. I can actually put the pressure on it. I'm triggering its behavior to ignore me, and then I can actually catch the trigger, put some pressure on it, and get it to return to me. And by doing it in this little arena, I've got a lot more power than I'm doing it in a big paddock where it just takes off and ignores me. Okay, so we're setting the foundations in on this habit, okay, and breaking the habit of ignoring me so it comes back. We've got the ducks out here. I've got the little dog over here. So I'm just going to bring the dog over, and this is just a pet dog. I've got no verbal commands on it yet, so all I'm trying to do is trigger the instincts. She's very keen as a pet dog goes. I'm just going to let her go. Now, I've done a little bit of work on her, so I know she's not going to hurt the ducks or anything like that, but what I wanted to do is follow her instincts. Instincts will kick in. She wants to just bring the ducks back to me. That's a natural instinct. And if you've seen my shows before, I talk a lot about bringing their instincts in. Now, she's not quite sure what to do because she's only just learning. But what she's trying to do is just balance the ducks, keep the ducks at my feet. Now, all sheepdogs have this kind of hunting instinct in them. Nobody trains our dogs to do this. Okay, they do it instinctively. This is just a pet dog a few weeks ago. Now it's already ambushing the food and bringing it back to the pack leader. And what we do is put commands on it. Now, what I'm having a problem with is her to come off the ducks. Okay, so I've triggered her this habit, and now she doesn't want to leave this job she loves so much. So what do? How do I get my dog to come back to me when I've asked it? I ask it 2 times to come back, and it doesn't. It just wants to chase the ducks. The instincts are very strong. So I'm going to show you what I do. I'm going to ask for her to come back. Her name is Drift. Drift, that'll do. Drift, that'll do. She doesn't come back. So now I'm going to use pressure on, pressure off. So firstly, I've got to get her out of tunnel vision. She's totally hooked onto the ducks. She can barely hear what I'm saying. She's right in that kind of lock torpedo mode. So I put pressure on her. Then I turn my back and I want to call her in. But as soon as I turn my back, she sees that as a time to go back to that hunting instinct. Whatever triggers her, it could be another dog, it could be a rabbit smell going through the grass and it's been triggered on the scent. Doesn't matter what triggers a dog to take off and ignore you. You have to bring it in to put the pressure on, pressure off technique into the dog, so you've got that to control it. So I'm going to try it again. So I want her to come back to me. Drift, that'll do. Drift, that'll do. Still ignoring me. So here we go again. Get in between, get in between her and the trigger. Okay, so I'm going to try it again. Totally not listening to me at the moment. So I'm going to wait for my moment. Oh, I don't want to just chase her around. Drift. drift. By taking the pressure off her, drift. You're now welcoming her to you, drift. Good girl, good girl. So what I did there, I put pressure on her to break that tunnel vision, put her into a submissive state. And from that submissive state, I took the pressure off her, I turned my body language away, and that invited her now to come back to me. Okay, if I just totally keep pressure on her, all I'm doing is putting fear in her. So you have to just put enough pressure on her to break the tunnel vision. You're not trying to scare them, you're not trying to do anything like that. All you got to do is break the tunnel vision between her and the trigger, and then get her submissive, and then take the pressure off, invite her back to you, and she came straight back. I wanted her to work as a partnership with me, with the energy and her body language, so she respects it. She's got her favourite job in the world now, cracking little doggy. She's off hunting again though, so it's practice and practice. It's not going to work just the one time. I want to repeat that over and over and over. So I'll need to do this for at least 10 or 15 minutes, and then she gets the idea of she has to come back, otherwise the pressure comes off. I start weaning the pressure off, she starts coming back to me, as you'll see more and more.